Part 116. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1161. From a design perspective, this place should be the most important place in the entire 10,000 Immortals Palace. Of course there is no bed or anything like that inside. There was nothing in the entire empty hall, not even the Tianling Taoist tools were placed. Wu Yu was a little surprised. There were fairy treasures scattered on the road outside. Why was there nothing in such an important place? It was a bit strange, so he entered it, circled around the central pillar, and used the fiery eyes to circle around the empty hall. He looked very carefully and could remember every little detail. But indeed, there doesn't seem to be any treasure, and it is very clean here. Idiot, did you ignore the pillar in the middle? Ming Long suddenly said when Wu Yu was about to leave and go to other places. Wu Yu was startled. Indeed, he didn't pay attention to this pillar, because it was in the center of the hall, with the lower part on the ground and the upper part on the roof. Wu Yu thought it was part of the palace. After all, other halls also have many pillars. But remember, there are no pillars at this location in the main hall of the 10,000 Immortals Palace. He looked carefully at the pillar again. This thick pillar was all black, with a relief on the surface. It was not clear what the relief was from just one direction, so he turned around and found that the relief seemed to be a strange giant beast with no limbs, only the body and a huge mouth, from bottom to top, has the intention of swallowing up the world. This feeling is somewhat similar to the sky-swallowing giant beast. In fact, the material of this pillar, at a glance, seems to be the same as that of the palace. I originally thought it was just an ordinary metal treasure, but now when I scanned it with my sharp eyes, I found that this pillar is actually one body, not a part of the palace, and there are traces of separate magic circles on it. What is this? Wu Yu was a little confused. After all, it didn't look like a Taoist weapon. He turned around, and when he was confused, he suddenly saw a small plaque on the ground. There were some words engraved on the plaque, but because there was some dust, he didn't notice it at first. Is this a mark? This kind of markings carved on the ground can only be found in the 30,000 palaces outside that are neatly placed. After entering the main hall, the treasures were scattered around, so when there was a mark suddenly appearing, Wu Yu didn't notice it. Now, this label introduces this pillar. Wu Yu's eyes fell on those few lines of small words. In fact, he was not very excited, because when he came into the treasury, he saw too many treasures, so he was not surprised to see so many. However, when he read out these words, he was still stunned. It reads, "In ancient times, there was a strange beast called the Jambuddha beast. Using the soul of the Jambuddha beast and using the meteorite iron of the heavenly palace as a tool, it took 300 years to forge to create this Jambuddha pillar. Its magic circle is just right. 1 million is the Holy Spirit Taoist weapon, which is only one step away from the divine weapon. Holy Spirit instrument." Wu Yu was a little confused. The giant beast of Jambudvipa and the iron meteorite from the heavenly palace were forged over 300 years to become this holy weapon, the Jambuddha heavenly pillar. The whole body is black, with a giant beast embossed on it. A pillar that he ignored from the beginning and had no feeling at all like a Taoist weapon turned out to be the Yamfu. The weapon Wu Yu is using now is the Emperor forged by the ancient emperor. Dylan is a war halberd. When Wu Yu uses it, he is a little bit unfamiliar with the stick he used before. Although it has nothing to do with it, it is indeed not Wu Yu's favorite. When this million magic circle and the Jambuddha pillar that may only appear in legends appeared in front of his eyes, he must have wanted to take away the Jambuddha pillar to further enhance his combat power. This was the first thought that came to me immediately. The Holy Spirit Dao tool, just at this level, was extremely attractive to him. However, he hesitated a little and thought, this is a Holy Spirit Taoist artifact. If it is stored in a place like this, can I take it away at will? Then, After a flash of thought, he said, I am the Emperor Xuanhuan. This treasury belongs to me. Why can't I take away the Holy Spirit Taoist artifact? Then the ancient emperor, if he is not willing to give it to me, how can he be considered my father? Thinking of this, he had actually made up his mind. This Jambuddha pillar is standing here and has no connection with the palace. Wu Yu is the master here, so he brought the Jambuddha pillar into the Fusion Tower without any further thought. Relatively safe. After putting away the Jambuddha pillar, he looked around again and searched everywhere. There was no treasure better than the Jambuddha pillar, so he left the treasury and returned to the palace of 10,000 immortals. At this time, receiving the messenger from Luo Bin, she was almost at the Sihai Dragon Palace. In this case, I will go to the ancient demon world and come to worship and refine the Jambu Tianzu. This Yanfu Tianzu is more terrifying than the Yanhuang dragon seal and will probably consume a lot of energy, so Wu Yu is not in a hurry for the time being. He saw that Luo Bai was about to return, so he was ready to go to the ancient demon world and told Dishishan that he would just go into seclusion. However, before leaving, he still wanted to go out and take a look, and try the power of the Yanhuang dragon seal to control various magic circles. He had not yet tried to open the national boundary magic circle. Suddenly he got such a valuable treasure as the Yanfu Tianzu. This jet black Tianzu could now take his combat power to a new level, which made him feel more excited. In fact, if he didn't rely on power, but only on combat power, once he had mastered all the Tianling Dao weapons in his hands, he could walk sideways here, especially within the Yanhuang kingdom. Except for the ancient emperor, no one would be his opponent. Even if it was Emperor Shishan and others, Wu Yu was sure to deal with him. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. Now in the Yanhuang territory, he is almost like a god. He came out of the Wangxian palace and appeared in the imperial city, and then walked slowly towards the wall of the imperial city. First, he wanted to try some of the magic arrays of the imperial city. Along the way, there were royal family members or princes and ministers who met Wu Yu, and they immediately knelt on the ground and shouted Emperor Yu. Some of them were known to Wu Yu, and some were not. He did not respond, and just passed by, and those people would naturally do their own things. In the past, he had never thought that as long as he appeared in this imperial city, it would be a big move. For example, there was a patrol team along the way. When they saw Wu Yu, they immediately knelt on the ground in an orderly manner and shouted Long live Emperor Yu. Among them, some were acquaintances of Wu Yu, such as Chu Yin of the Yanlong Corps. Emperor Yu Chu Yin's body trembled a little. His hair was gray, and now he looked even older. His two children were gone. Yeah, now they looked at each other, and they were no longer in the same realm. Chu Yin was also very afraid of him. The same was true for those people in the Yanlong Corps. Wu Yu still remembered that he was in Dongsheng Shenzhou at the beginning, looking at Chu Yin and others from a distance, and it was like looking at gods at that time. And now, he controls this huge world. Without saying much, Wu Yu went straight away. He tried it on the edge of the imperial city. Sure enough, the Yanhuang dragon seal could control the magic array of the whole city. By trying, he could become more proficient. The imperial city did not allow entry from the air, and it was necessary to pass through the city gate. Wu Yu opened and closed it briefly, and he was also familiar with what kind of heaven and earth array was arranged here. He could also try the magic array of the outer capital of the gods. Compared with the magic array of the imperial city, it was slightly weaker, but there were more of them and they could withstand more consumption. Of course, although these magic arrays existed, most of them had never been effective. No one dared to force their way into the capital of the gods or the imperial city. He was about to try to manipulate the national boundary magic array, which was the largest. However, two women came forward. One of them was known to Wu Yu, the daughter of Emperor 11, and the other was an old woman. It seemed that the deadline was almost here. They had just come in from outside the imperial city. When the old woman saw Wu Yu, she was frightened and knelt down quickly, shouting, "Long live Emperor Yu!" Wu Yu didn't know her, but she was probably the mother of the daughter of Emperor 11, and one of the concubines of the ancient emperor, but she was indeed very old. But the daughter of Emperor 11 struggled a little and didn't kneel down. Her eyes were a little trembling, and she looked at Wu Yu blankly. She could also keenly feel that Wu Yu was completely different. "Kneel down, the old woman was scared to death, and hurriedly pulled the daughter of Emperor 11 to kneel down. The daughter of Emperor 11 might be a little unwilling, but she still knelt down and bowed her head to Wu Yu. Wu Yu was a little dazed. This is the Emperor Xuanhuan, who can easily make this proud daughter of Emperor 11 kneel down. No need to be polite, let's go." Wu Yu waved his hand. "Yes, Emperor Yu." The old woman got up and pulled the daughter of Emperor 11, who was bowing her head, away. Now that he has calmed down, he has a deeper understanding of the feeling of authority. When he flew over the streets of the divine capital, along the way, a large group of people knelt down, and everyone looked at him with respect and awe. The whole divine capital, the whole ancient country of Yanhuang, is like this. He deeply knows that he is already the master of this cultivation empire. Everyone is in awe of him. He can control everything. This feeling of control and peerless authority are really something he has never experienced before, but after all, he was once the prince, so he can probably understand it. However, this country is too big. He suddenly realized that he had mastered the national boundary array, and at least he could open a gap in the national boundary array above his head to let others in. He could also enter and exit at will. Even more, he could use the power of the national boundary array to kill everything within the country. He was really like a god. When he was immersed in the world of power and domination, Luo Bin's communication talisman arrived again. She said, "Arrived safely, the array has been opened, don't worry, my lord." Wu Yu smiled. He knew that it was time to go to the ancient demon world. 3 more. Perfect anti-theft chapter. Please use the search engine to search for keywords. Various novels are available for you to watch. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1162. First, he sent a message back to Luo Bin, saying that he was going to the ancient demon world soon and would give her the news once he came back. Then, tell Dishishan that he is going to retreat in the 10,000 Immortals Palace. There is nothing important to do. Don't disturb him and let Dishishan make his own decision. Without his existence, the Yanhuang ancient kingdom would still be prosperous. There was nothing for him to worry about here. He opened the door to the ancient demon world at the 10,000 Immortals Palace. After waiting for a quarter of an hour, the door opened. Wu Yu entered the ancient demon world without hesitation. The last time he left, for the sake of safety, of course he did not leave in the Temple of the Heart, but in a deserted wilderness. When the door to the ancient demon world was closed in his hand and put into the sumuru bag by Wu Yu, he breathed a sigh of relief. It seems that the connection with the world of Jambudvipa has been completely severed. The person he cares about most is now with him. There is also Luo Bai, who is also under the protection of the Four Seas Dragon Palace array. Originally, he was still a little worried about the ancient emperor, but now that everything was going so smoothly, he thought in his heart that the possibility that the ancient emperor was not in danger had increased a little. If everything is true, then do I really have a mother named Fairy Susang in Suyu Tiangong? In his memory, his mother and concubine passed away early, and he no longer had much memory. After he was a teenager, Wu Yu took more care of him. "Mother, what does it feel like?" Wu Yu was a little confused. In fact, putting aside Yezixi's hatred, he really hoped that the ancient emperor had not deceived him. Once he did, he would have nothing to worry about. Secondly, he also hopes that his parents are still alive in this world. So for him, it's contradictory for the time being. That's all, concentrate on your cultivation and improve yourself. Luo Bai will become an immortal soon. When she arrives in the heavenly palace, she has no one she knows well. I can't let her be alone there. If we want to make a career, we must fight together. So I'd better try to catch up. The most important thing is still fighting and training. Of course, in terms of fighting, he may not be much worse than Luo Bin now. Especially after having the Yanfu Tianzu. I just came to the ancient demon world and saw the little rabbit in the killing stage again. I remember that when I first came, Wu Yu was scared to death. Now that I met him again, he could only smile bitterly. When the fiery red rabbit saw him, it became extremely irritable, with murderous thoughts in its heart. It sprayed a kind of flame wildly, and hit Wu Yu ball after ball at a very fast speed. However, Wu Yu was now wearing the Holy Dragon golden robe, and its flames exploded on Wu Yu's body, splashing bursts of fire, and then disappeared. Wu Yu was not the first person to enter this ancient demon world. He was too lazy to pay attention to the little rabbit, and quickly used his magical power to do somersault clouds, and in the blink of an eye, he quickly went in the direction of the Heart Temple. The location of the Heart Temple is too hidden. If Wu Yu didn't have the sky-swallowing body there, it would be really difficult to find it. Nanshan Wanjiao and the others are still practicing for the time being, mainly refining the heavenly spirit Taoist tools. It is not as easy for them as Wu Yu to sacrifice the heavenly spirit Taoist tools. After returning to the Heart Temple, there was actually nothing special. Before his true form arrived, the sky-swallowing body had already told everyone the details. At that time, Nanshan Wanjiao and Yezixi breathed a sigh of relief. Maybe he is really your father, otherwise how could we have come here so smoothly? Yezixi lowered her head, feeling a little sad. Everything in the world is unpredictable, so don't draw conclusions for now. Anyway, we think we are the safest way now. At least we can feel at ease. Next, let us have stronger capital as soon as possible, Wu Yu said to her softly. Okay, brother Yu, no matter what, you will never change in my heart, Yezixi said seriously. Wu Yu comforted her again, and then threw the Wuji warship to Nanshan Wanjiao, saying, "This is our mobile base in this ancient demon world. It is much better than the Yingxian." Nanshan Wanjiao glared and said, "Damn, it's this kind of Tianling Taoist weapon again. You really made a fortune. There are too many Tianling Taoist tools now. It will probably take me a year to refine them all and control them all. Then just spend a year. Anyway, there is nothing to do now, so just spend all your time practicing." He was freed from some struggles and disputes, and now he only had one goal, which was to become an immortal. Compared to them, Wu Yu had 5 times more time. Wu Yu also told Wu Yu and Feng Shui that his true form had returned. They still only recognized Wu Yu's true form and thought that Wu Yu's sky-swallowing body was a clone, so they had to feel at ease because of this. I have been practicing quite well here for a while, and with Wu Yu's help, I have made huge breakthroughs. Even if there is any accident, the Black Phoenix and Silver Kylin will protect them closely, which is basically equivalent to their top-notch combat power. After reporting that he was safe, Wu Yu calmed down. It was very quiet in the Heart Temple. Everyone was working hard, and of course he was no exception. This time's training is mainly about the sacrifice of the Tianling Taoist artifact. His main body and clone are both in the Fusion Tower. The main body is to worship the Yamfu Tianzu, and then become thoroughly familiar with the Yanhuang Emperor's 4-piece set and be able to use all the magic circles. As for the body that swallows the sky, it needs to completely control all the magic formations of Juxing Longyuan, Shanghao Pagoda, and Yanfu World Scroll. In fact, with Yanfu Tianzu and Juxing Longyuan, the previous Emperor 11 and Emperor Lin have basically been eliminated. Wu Yu can cancel the sacrifice and put it back into the treasury. This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. There are so many heavenly spirit Taoist tools, but the only one that has not been successfully sacrificed is the Yanfu Tianzu. After all, this is the Holy Spirit Taoist tool. Even if it has the ability to exorcise gods, Wu Yu still brought it to the ancient demon world just to be on the safe side. Come, prepare to enter it together with the body of swallowing the sky, to sacrifice to the Jamfu Tianzu. Perhaps this is the only Holy Spirit Taoist artifact in the world of Jambu. Wu Yu placed the Yanfu Tianzu in the center of the Fusion Tower. This thick black pillar had a relief of a giant beast. His original spirit and the sky-swallowing body invaded the spiritual inner world of the Jamfu Tianzu almost at the same time, looking for the existence of the weapon spirit. Judging from its introduction, the weapon spirit is already the so-called Jambu giant beast. Jambu means human world, so it can probably be called a human giant beast. It is the god of all things, born of heaven and earth. The inner spiritual world is empty, like a starry sky without any stars, dark and dead, with nothing. When Wu Yu came in the depths of the dead silence, a burst of dark mist suddenly arose. The mist became more and more numerous, rolling continuously, looking like a wild beast, and even gradually roared. This Yanfu giant beast is somewhat similar to the sky-swallowing giant beast. Seeing the black mist sometimes changing into whirlpools and sometimes turning into giant beasts, Wu Yu discovered something. Because the sky-swallowing body beside him can do the same. When I just thought about it, the black mist actually condensed in the starry sky, directly condensing into a strange giant beast. The giant beast only had a bloody mouth on its head, and its whole body was like an earthworm, without any trunk. The front end looked like the flesh and blood part, but the tail position is still black mist, like a dark insect in the starry sky, and it has a head but no tail. Once it has flesh and blood, the difference between it and the sky-swallowing behemoth comes out, because Wu Yu's sky-swallowing body does not have flesh and blood for the time being, but a body similar to the soul. This should be considered the real body of the giant beast of Jambudvipa. It didn't seem to have much intelligence. After discovering Wu Yu, it felt like it had been awakened. Without saying a word, it opened its bloody mouth and started to devour Wu Yu. The big mouth opened. In its mouth, Wu Yu was as small as a dust. This mouth was as big as the entire world, swallowing him up. Inside its mouth is an endless, terrifying black hole. What the hell is this? Wu Yu cursed in his heart. He wanted to fight quickly and brutally. He used the exorcism technique that had been brewing for a long time and directly used it. He almost hit the opponent when he was closest to him. Roar. As a result, the behemoth of Yanfu let out a terrifying scream, sending Wu Yu flying away and reaching an extremely distant place. In Wu Yu's sight, the behemoth of Yanfu had indeed suffered heavy damage, and the huge flesh and blood the body is twisted in the sky. This is more like a crazy beating earthworm. When I say it is not disgusting, but a bit scary. Quick victory. After casting the exorcism technique, the main body needs to take a short mental rest. The sky-swallowing body is good at fighting in such a spiritual world. When it kills, Wu Yu also transforms into a huge black vortex, like a meat grinder, moving towards that kill the giant beast of Jambu. Unexpectedly, when Wu Yu's sky-devouring body came closer, the Yanfu giant beast lowered its head and let out a whimpering sound, as if it was kneeling down in front of Wu Yu's eyes. Looking like he was frightened by Wu Yu and completely surrendered. Before Wu Yu could react, the millions of magic arrays of the Jambudvipa pillar were displayed in front of his eyes, which meant that he had successfully refined the Jambudvipa pillar, and the imprint of his ritual method had been imprinted on it. Wu Yu found this to be quite unbelievable in terms of the Holy Spirit Taoist artifact. "Are you afraid of me?" Wu Yu asked with his sky-swallowing body. Why? Obviously, the giant beast of Jambudvipa, which seemed to have very low intelligence, could not answer his question. Wu Yu asked a few more questions, as if he was communicating with a puppy. The other party didn't know anything about it. He only knew that he was surrendering to Wu Yu, and his heart was full of fear. Yes, I guess the heaven-swallowing demon ancestor is more powerful, even more powerful than the legendary giant beast of Jambu. Wu Yu came to a conclusion. Moreover, they are probably the same type of gods of all things. Volume 10 Endless World starts today. A heart-stirring story of bravery, resistance, and battle begins. There will be surprises around the 15th of this month, please pay attention. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1163. You can't get anything out of this giant beast of Yama. After being subdued, it can only whine. It's not because Wu Yu is so powerful, but because his body is just right to restrain him. Wu Yu is still interested in the Million Magic Array. This Million Magic Array is known as the Perfect Magic Array. 1 million, connected layer by layer. There is no doubt that the power of the Yama pillar is mainly concentrated on attack. A rough understanding shows that it has 2 attacking magic arrays that are obviously more powerful than the ancient Twin Dragon Absolute Immortal Array. Wu Yu doesn't know the specific power, and now he can only know the name and the general artistic conception, which he roughly perceives from those million magic arrays. The first magic array is called the Gate of 10,000 Hells. As the name suggests, this magic array, this stick, falls from the sky and can directly hit the enemy into the 10,000 hells. Imagine, a stick falls from the sky and hits the ground. For a moment, the sea and the earth turn into a black hell. Various scenes of the 10,000 hells appear, such as ghosts, tongue-pulling hell, oil pen, arrows piercing the heart, ox-headed and horse-faced, black and white impermanence. It's terrifying to think about it. But this is not the most terrifying. The second array is called 8,000 Heavenly Palaces, floating life shattered. The first array is related to the 10,000 hells, and the second array is related to the 8,000 Heavenly Palaces. Doesn't this mean that the 10,000 hells and the 8,000 Heavenly Palaces are real? There are 10,000 layers of hell? There are 8,000 layers of heaven? It's simply amazing. These 8,000 heavenly palaces descended together in the array, and the heavenly palaces suppressed them, and all the floating life and things were shattered. It can only be said that the power of the stick is definitely more terrifying, but if the first array brings the erosion of darkness, then this second array is a fair and brutal destruction. This Yamabu pillar, the magic array inside, is actually connected to the heavenly palace and hell. It really looks like a pillar that supports the sky, supporting the sky above and connecting to hell below. After Wu Yu withdrew, he was still deeply shocked. Now, all the top-level Tianling Dao tools have been successfully sacrificed. Especially the 9-star Dragon Abyss, the Yanhuang Dragon Seal and the Yamabu Pillar. These 3 Dao tools are simply the most terrifying killing weapons in the entire Yamabu world. In addition, Dao tools that are more inclined to auxiliary and defense, such as the other 3 sets of the Emperor, the Shanghao Tower, the Yamabu World Scroll, etc., are also quite good. In short, Wu Yu can imagine that he mastered all these magic arrays that day, even if he was in the 10th level of the realm of Taoism, and in this ancient demon world, he dared to go up and fight. So, except for demon gods and immortals, he basically had nothing to fear. Before entering the ancient Soul Tower, I really couldn't have thought that after coming out, I would have such a day. It was the ancient emperor who brought me transformation, such as the ancient emperor's preaching, such as the scorching sun body forging in the ancient Soul Tower, such as the final success in asking for the way. He calmed down, put the ancient emperor's affairs aside, and wholeheartedly familiarized himself with the 8 kinds of heavenly spiritual instruments, especially the Yanhuang dragon seal, which also contain the control of the entire Yanhuang ancient country. This requires a lot of time and energy. Concentrated, day after day, year after year. 5 times the time is still quite sufficient. With her 5-year appointment, in the floating life tower, that is 25 years. This time, Wu Yu took a full year to complete all the arrays and heavenly spiritual instruments. 12 months, about 2 months or more outside, Nanshan Wanjiao and Yezixi, have just completed the sacrifice, but they still need some time to control those arrays. But Wu Yu has already done it. It's a pity that we can't bring them into the floating life tower, otherwise they can also enjoy this time, especially Zixi, who has been inherited for a short time and needs this time. But there is no way for the time being. The floating life tower is still out of control. He has even controlled the Holy Spirit Deo instrument, but he can't touch the floating life tower. Sometimes he has to ask, doesn't it mean that the floating life tower is also a fairy instrument? Even the phantom demon eye is, then the floating life tower is also very likely. And the gate to the ancient demon world is probably also. These are more precious than the Yama pillar, but it's a pity that they can't be sacrificed. After everything is done, although Wu Yu is still in the first level of the realm of asking questions, he wants to continue to challenge the puppets of the floating life tower. In the floating life tower, there are 9 puppet arrays, from the first level of asking questions to the 9th level. Among them, the one in the 8th level array is the silver unicorn. Now at the current level, the only one that can be challenged is the puppet in the 9th white array. It's been a long time since I challenged a puppet across 8 levels. White array. Wu Yu challenged the white magic circle, and the light of other magic circles dimmed. When the white light was the strongest, it suddenly disappeared. The puppet that appeared in front of Wu Yu was not unexpected. A golden dragon, with 5 claws, was as handsome as the legendary 5-clawed golden dragon. From the black phoenix to the silver unicorn, and then to the more powerful golden dragon, it was not unexpected. I just don't know if there are puppets after the golden dragon. Wu Yu couldn't see it before he reached the 2nd level of the question. The combat power of the golden dragon should be about the same as that of the golden giant in the ancient Soul Tower. It was very strong for Wu Yu at that time, but now, he has too many treasures. In terms of might, the golden dragon is obviously better than the black phoenix and the silver unicorn. The aura of the supreme immortal beast is even more majestic. The golden iron body shows majesty and dominance. The pair of golden eyes have strong penetrating power. The dragon scales look indestructible, while the dragon teeth and claws are like sharp Taoist tools, full of lethality. A closer look shows that countless magic arrays are drawn on the thick dragon scales. I believe that the magic array of the golden dragon is also more than 800,000, which is much more valuable than the Tianling Taoist tools of the same magic array. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading. Once, Wu Yu's body and the body of the devouring heaven, plus the silver unicorn, defeated the golden giant, not to mention now. When the golden dragon appeared, Wu Yu's body did not move. He used the body of the devouring heaven, because he was confident that he could completely defeat his opponent with the body of the devouring heaven alone. 2 Tianling Taoist tools appeared in his hand. On his left hand, there is a black pagoda, as black as ink, very simple and ancient. Although it is not big, it looks very heavy, like a huge mountain. This is the Shanghao Tower. On his right hand, there is a sword. This sword is very gorgeous. The hilt is pure white, inlaid with 9 gorgeous gems, or 9 bright stars. The blade part does not seem to have a physical body, but is composed of starlight extending from the hilt. The starlight forms the shape of the blade and flows back and forth, shining brightly. This is the top-level Tianling Dao weapon 9-star Dragon Abyss in the Yanhuang Gold Pearl, which has 930,000 magic arrays. With the Hao Tower in one hand and the 9-star Dragon Abyss in the other, by Fi Yang's blood-red eyes, the current body of the Devouring Heaven seems to have a more terrifying momentum as his abilities improve. Together with his body with many inheritances, his momentum is not weak at all. Shanghao Divine Domain. When the Golden Dragon just appeared, he took action and threw the Shanghao Tower in his hand. The Shanghao Tower instantly appeared on the head of the Golden Dragon. The magic array changed, hundreds of thousands of magic arrays were activated, and under the power of the Devouring Heaven body, the magic array suddenly took effect, creating amazing changes within a certain range. Pa pa pa. In an instant, the Golden Dragon, which was just flying in the air, fell to the ground as if a continuous mountain range was suppressed. Every part of the body was tightly attached to the ground. This impact made the Fusion Tower tremble slightly. This is the power of the Shanghao Divine Domain. Its main function is to enhance the gravity within this domain, and it is very high, so that the enemy cannot adapt to such a domain at all. No matter who is controlled by the Shanghao Divine Domain, the combat effectiveness will be greatly reduced. For example, the Golden Dragon was pressed to the ground without adapting all of a sudden, and the body of the dragon was somewhat deformed. However, after all, it was a high-level puppet. After a little use, it actually climbed up and looked at Wu's body fiercely. It even soared into the air again and confronted the Shanghao Divine Domain. Of course, judging from its uncoordinated body, it certainly did not fully demonstrate its combat power in the Shanghao Divine Domain. Wu Yu was particular about the battle. So, when the opponent just got up, he had already picked up the 9-star Dragon Abyss and killed him. The 9-star Dragon Abyss was somewhat different from ordinary Taoist weapons. His magic array focused on continuous bombardment. From the beginning to the end, the 9-star continuous killing magic array was definitely a nightmare-level killing. Once it started, it was difficult to stop. Even if the opponent could block the first attack, it would be difficult to block the subsequent continuous attacks. First strike. Tianpeng Star Wind and Snow God kill. The first star on the 9-star Dragon Abyss shone, making the previously empty sword blade instantly become like ice. For a moment, the wind and snow were everywhere. A huge amount of wind and snow-colored starlight burst out from Wu Yu's 9-star Dragon Abyss, as if a huge star full of wind and snow fell. With the surging sword light, when the Golden Dragon just got up, it violently killed it. The rough sword light tore a lot of scars on its steel body. Tianrui Star Universe Strike. The wind and snow dissipated, the meteorite fell, and a sword pierced the top of the Golden Dragon's head, and the sword blade was deeply immersed in it. Tianchong Star Jedi Violent Kill. One move after another, every sword violently killed the Golden Dragon. Poor Golden Dragon, still under the suppression of Shanghao Divine Domain, wanted to cast a magic circle to fight Wu Yu, but was repeatedly disrupted by Wu Yu's storm-like attacks. The killing of the 9-star Dragon Abyss is all about speed, and accuracy. After one wave, another wave comes swiftly. The entire Shanghao Divine Domain was engulfed by starlight. In almost 5 breaths, the hilt of the 9-star Dragon Abyss shone from the first star to the last. The eternal destruction of the Tianying Star. Perfect Anti-Theft Chapter. Please use the search engine to search for keywords. Various novels are available for you to read. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Feng Qing Yang. Chapter 1164. The Last Kill, the Eternal Destruction of the Gods. The violent starlight fell like a torrential rain, killing the Golden Dragon with thousands of holes. It really reached the point where the opponent could not make a move at all, and then killed the opponent. It was not that the Golden Dragon was not good, but that Wu Yu now had too many top-level Tianling Dao tools, especially the 9-star Dragon Abyss. Its main body had not yet made a move. Once the Yanfutianzu and Yanhuang dragon seal made a move, the golden dragon would be even more unable to hold on. The 9-star dragon abyss cut the golden dragon into several sections in 5 breaths. Wu Yu had a better understanding of his own strength. After the golden dragon surrendered, he waited for a few more days. When it was fully recovered, Wu Yu would leave it in the Heart God Temple to protect them. Now, he has slightly widened the gap with Nanshan Wanjiao and the others. Staying in the Heart God Temple, he feels more at ease with the golden dragon. Now he has refined all the Tianling Dao tools, and Nanshan Wanjiao and the others still need some time. Therefore, Wu Yu wanted to go out and explore this world, and his main body and the heaven-devouring body moved together. Leaving the golden dragon to protect them, and with the silver unicorn and the black phoenix, Wu Yu was quite relieved in this hidden heart temple. As for his main body and heaven-devouring body, with their current strength, there is absolutely no problem in venturing in this ancient demon world. After explaining to Nanshan Wanjiao and the others, Wu Yu left the heart temple. The heaven-devouring body was in the floating life tower, and his main body was outside, changing the colorful dragon crown, the holy dragon golden robe, and the Xingyu dragon boots on his body into ordinary clothes. The imperial aura on his body was not so obvious. Moreover, this strange ancient demon world seemed to have no human existence, and the demons he had encountered before did not know what kind of creature Wu Yu was. He estimated that the demons here would not change into human form. The entire ancient demon world was half land and half sea, and on land, looking around, there were high mountains and deep ravines, and the jungle was extremely dense, and it was all dark green. This world is too huge, so there are not many demons. They can only be encountered from a distance. Most of those who are not in the Yuanshen realm have hidden themselves, and the demons in the killing stage have probably been killed almost all by now. The hidden demons cannot escape Wu Yu's fiery eyes. Of course, Wu Yu did not disturb them. He walked all the way to the west. His previous position was slightly close to the sea. To his west, there was a huge piece of land. This land can be said to be more than 3 times the size of the Yanhuang ancient domain. He was not fast. He rode on the somersault cloud and carefully explored this world to see what secrets this world had. He used the law of heaven and earth to change his body to the smallest. Normally, it is difficult for demons in the killing stage to find it. Occasionally, there are stronger ones who attack and kill, and Wu Yu directly dodges, and the opponent can't catch up with him. The further you go inside, the more spiritual energy seems to be. This place is several times more than the god's capital. And this spiritual energy is more precise and of higher quality. If there is no killing period, then this place should be a world where demons and gods are born. Even in the world of Yama, there are people who can become immortals, let alone here. In addition, there are many cultivation resources hidden underground, between the mountains and valleys. There are also many treasures. There are still many demons in the killing period, fighting and killing everywhere. This world is more ferocious than the world of Yama, and it abides by the law of the jungle more. All demons are like wild beasts in the jungle. They fight with their own magical powers. They have basically no attainments in magic arrays and Taoism. Therefore, what Wu Yu saw, the magic arrays in this world are quite simple. In comparison, the world of Yama is like a civilized world, while this is a barbaric world that no one cares about. Especially in the killing period, those demons fight when they meet, and blood stains thousands of miles. If the demons here were not generally small in size, it is estimated that the whole world would be full of demon corpses. Wu Yu had seen many corpses of demons. They were similar in size to wild beasts. For example, a tiger demon was less than 10 feet long, but it was actually a demon king. Although its body was not big, it was quite tough and its flesh and blood were very full. It was a bit similar to Wu Yu's original body. It was also not big, but it was flexible and swift. It was more terrifying than those huge demons in fighting. In its flesh and blood, absolutely every particle was essence. Of course, it was still not as good as Wu Yu, who was covered with Buddha statues. He went west all the way. Basically, he went to the place where the spiritual energy was rich. As a result, it became richer and richer. When Wu Yu was at his current position, he was actually on a very high mountain. This was an endless mountain range. He had already reached a very high position, but when he looked up, there were still countless peaks towering into the clouds in front of him. Each of them was like the blue sky Shu mountain, inserted into the clouds. The mountains under his feet, even the most ordinary trees, have spiritual patterns. Looking at the world filled with spiritual energy, he couldn't help but sigh, as if he had arrived in a fairyland. Every breath was very comfortable. He thought that bringing Wu Yu and the others here would definitely make faster progress. Wu Yu said in the mist that it was as if he was the only one in the whole world. In this position, it seemed that even the demons in the killing period were rare. If it is the resting period, there will probably be a lot of demons here. After all, this place is very good for them to become stronger. The mountains under my feet are full of rare treasures. He used his fiery eyes to sweep around and saw a large number of immortals, treasures, and spiritual patterns. The immortals grew wildly, as if they were wasting natural resources. Wu Yu couldn't help but want to go down and pick them to enrich his treasury. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. If there were not so many treasures in his hands, he would probably have split 10,000 clones and searched all over the mountains and plains. What a magical world! This world, perhaps because the killing period has been going on for a while, the rotten demon corpses that Wu Yu saw are much more than the demons. I don't know how prosperous this ancient demon world was in the last rest period. These immortals are obviously grown in these years. In front, there are shadows of high mountains in the clouds and mist. The whole world, except for the green under his feet, is pure white between heaven and earth. Wu Yu rides on the clouds and mist, keeps moving forward, and continues to go to places with more spiritual energy. Often the places with the highest quality of spiritual energy are actually like the gods, the core of the world. After more than 10 days, he didn't know how many mountains he had climbed. Now he was on a very high plateau. It seemed that he could not see any higher mountains. At this time, the environment here was 10 times better than that of God. The cultivators liked to occupy the mountains because of the spirit of heaven and earth. This was simply a blessing. Wu Yu bathed in the clouds and felt very comfortable. Suddenly, he heard the sound of beast roars in the far northwest. He listened carefully and found that he was not wrong. I haven't seen demons for 10 days. There are beast roars here. What he was looking for was the strangeness of this ancient demon world, so he went in that direction at a fairly fast speed. As he approached, he found that the sound was getting louder and louder, and there were quite a few of them. There were all kinds of delicate sounds, beast roars, bird calls, and other various sounds. It was very messy, and basically they were quite shrill and violent. Are they all demons in the killing stage? All together? Are they in a big fight? However, Wu Yu only heard roars and screams, but no fighting sounds, which didn't seem like a big fight. He accelerated towards that direction, and the closer he got, the more shocked he was. From the sound, it was obvious that there were at least thousands of demons, and from the sound, they were all very powerful and very manic. Finally, a basin area appeared in front of him. At the top of a mountain, many tianqi appeared in such places. There was no water here, and there was a large flat land below. But when Wu Yu saw everything below, his eyes widened and he was quite shocked. Below, there were thousands of emerald green cages. The cages were completely closed walls, which seemed to be emerald green ice, or some kind of steel. Anyway, they were extremely strong, and he could still see inside slightly. There is a demon in each of these green cages. These demons are all relatively large in size, and they are all strange and bizarre, but they are basically quite fierce. Judging from their eyes, they are all in the killing stage. Of course, it is obvious that they are all locked up. The reason why they are roaring, colliding, and screaming is because they are locked up, but from this situation, they are not just locked up, but have been locked up for a long time. Those demons are all top-level bloodlines, all at the level of demon kings, and even many at the level of demon masters, not inferior to the black gold queen ant, the thousand-eyed demon tree, the 8 gods Kunwu and other demons. For example, one demon has silver eyes, which reminds Wu Yu of the golden pupil ancient demon. There are also golden ants, strange beasts with tiger heads in the middle and eagle heads on both sides, blue tree demons, dark fog, one-horned white horses, blood-red foxes with more than a dozen tails, etc. They are all extremely fierce and violent, especially when they feel the lag in Wu Yu's existence. They all look in the direction of Wu Yu, staring at him and roaring wildly. So many demons, imprisoned here, Wu Yu was a little stunned for a moment. He looked over and found that these were indeed top-level demons, some of whom were even estimated to be at the 10th level of the Way of the Inquiry, which even he could not deal with. He looked over one by one and saw that in the center of the basin, there was a slender stone, inserted into the ground and stretched high into the sky, a bit like a stone pillar, and looked like a long crystal. On this stone, some pictures seemed to be flashing, attracting Wu Yu. Wu Yu was too far away, so he was ready to get closer to take a look. Please use the search engine to search for keywords Yunlei Pavilion Perfect Anti-Theft Chapters, various novels for you to watch. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Feng Qing Yang. Chapter 1165. When Wu Yu walked towards the rock, the ferocious demons trapped in the green cages around him also saw him. Suddenly, they became even more excited. Their blood-red eyes stared at Wu Yu with great anger. They kept attacking in Wu Yu's direction, baring their teeth and claws, but they were all trapped in the cage one by one. Wu Yu walked through these cages. There were many kinds of demons here, and there were all types, which opened his eyes. It is estimated that they had a premonition that the killing period was coming, or someone had a premonition that the killing period was coming and trapped them here in advance. In this way, they would not kill each other, but when the rest period comes, they will just get out of trouble. Wu Yu felt that this was a good idea. For them, it might be like sleeping. After waking up, it is still the period of rest. Take a look at the monster here, and then he is already close to the magical stone. At this time, it was very slender, stretching towards the sky, thick in the middle and thinner at both ends. It was inserted into the ground and remained motionless. The reason why Wu Yu found it magical was that he could see the flashing images on the crystal-like rock from a long distance. Before, when he saw it from a distance, it was a little confusing because the change was so fast. Basically, it would change a few times in one breath. Second rate. Now that I'm closer, I can see it a little more clearly. However, the scene seemed a bit baffling. What is this? Wu Yu was now standing less than a foot in front of the rock, observing intently. I saw the scene on the rock constantly changing. In just one breath, Wu Yu saw the stars and the vast sea. In the next moment, it transformed into a light blue forest. The leaves of all the trees were light blue. It could be said that quite beautiful. These pictures are all places where the ancient demon world exists. The stars, the sea, the forest, and then the barren land, all kinds of land forms, are slightly different from the ancient demon world that Wu Yu sees now. For example, there were too many stars in the star scene, but Wu Yu didn't see that many stars in the dark night of the ancient demon world. In other words, this was the ancient demon world before, and there are some changes in the ancient demon world today. Wu Yuzhen was thinking so. Suddenly, there was a change in the scene, which made his eyes widen. In the picture, a group of creatures appeared. Those are not monsters, but a group of people. They should be monks, but they look a little different. Their faces are as resolute as a sword, the men are handsome, the women are graceful, with outstanding temperament, and every skin is glowing with a faint starlight, especially the long hair. The fluorescent light is translucent and very beautiful. Their eyes are as bright as stars. This is the most important difference. Wu Yu can clearly see that there is no difference between the pupils and the whites of their eyes. There is only a dark blue with stars on it. There was a little flash of light, and it was obvious that every eye was a bright starry sky. The picture flashed by in an instant. In the next moment, Wu Yu also saw a giant beast that looked like an elephant, its whole body exuding the light of stars. The most important thing is that even the eyes of this elephant did not have white pupils. It is a bright starry sky, and each starry sky is somewhat different. Does the human race also exist in the ancient demon world? And it is this special kind that does not exist in the Jamfa world. The world in this picture is very different from the current ancient demon world. Or should I say that the ancient demon world I explored is too small? Does such a place exist here? After all, the land of the ancient demon world is 3 times larger than the 19 continents of the Yanfa world combined. Wu Yu could only explain it this way. He continued to stay here and watch, because he could always see the results. Now he was still full of doubts about these pictures. Although thousands of top-notch demons were roaring at him behind him, Wu Yu didn't care because those demons couldn't get out. In fact, Wu Yu discovered that among these monsters, there were relatively few common monsters such as birds and animals, but there were a lot of trees that were more difficult to become monsters. They all had many branches and leaves on their bodies. At this time, the cage crackled. At least 2/3 of them are demons of various flowers, plants, and trees. All plants can become demons. In this mountain forest, especially in this place, there are too many flowers, plants, and trees, and most of them are nourished by such spiritual energy. It is quite normal to turn on your spiritual intelligence and become a demon. A little closer to here, Wu Yu also encountered many demons in the trees. They were very good at camouflage. Those who had not reached the realm of souls were hiding, Wu Yu could see them at a glance. 1,000-year-old trees crisscross the area. This is the top of a very high mountain. If the spiritual energy hadn't turned into fog, the sky and the earth should be green when you look at it. Instead of the forest and trees appearing in the rocky scene, they are all light blue. Wu Yu was about to get closer to get to know him, when suddenly he felt an unstoppable killing intent. Those trapped demons were blocked no matter how roaring or rough they were, but now the murderous intention came directly. In this ancient demon world, it is easy to encounter this kind of situation. This shows that he let the demons in the killing period stare at him. Of course, at that moment, he also stared at the demon. The demon was opposite the rock. Wu Yu turned slightly to the side and saw a golden figure in the forest opposite. The golden figure suddenly appeared and showed his full appearance. The first thing that had a strong visual impact was a blood color. Most of its body was covered with blood. Golden-eyed ancient demon. Wu Yu was quite surprised. Because the demon in front of him was just an eyeball, with a layer of golden, steel-like skin wrapped around it, revealing pupils and whites of the eyes that were similar to those of humans. The whole thing looked like a golden sphere. Because it was just an eye, so at this time, because it was in the killing period, his pupils and whites of the eyes were replaced by the blood color of the killing period. So in front of Wu Yu was a blood-colored demon wrapped in golden steel. This appearance was exactly the same as Wu Yu's imagination of the golden-eyed ancient demon in the Tianyao Emperor's mansion. So he thought it was very likely a golden-eyed ancient demon. Of course, it was definitely not the owner of Tianyao Emperor's mansion. As for why it was not trapped in the cage and why it appeared here, Wu Yu didn't know. However, when he collided with it for the first time, he could clearly feel that this golden-eyed ancient demon was stronger than all the demons Wu Yu had seen in this ancient demon world. and it was simply terrifyingly strong. Wu Yu remembered that the golden-eyed ancient demon should be quite good at illusion, and Nanshan Wanjiao was not next to him, so if the other party wanted to kill him, it would be obviously quite difficult. Of course, Wu Yu now has more terrible capital, so in fact he has nothing to be afraid of. At most, he can just run away if he can't beat it. Anyway, this golden-eyed ancient demon will definitely not be able to catch up with him. At this time, the golden-eyed ancient demon locked him. The bloody eyes were quite scary. Those demons trapped in the cage screamed and roared at it, and it seemed that their killing intentions were stronger than those of Wu Yu. Perhaps in their opinion, this golden-eyed ancient demon was more powerful and more worth tearing apart. To be on the safe side, Wu Yu let the heaven-devouring body deal with it, and his main body remained awake and forced the opponent away, so as to avoid the main body from falling into the opponent's illusion. His two bodies are connected to each other, but have different visions, which is actually a very good weapon to break the illusion. The heaven-devouring body, holding the 9-star dragon abyss, with the Yambu world scroll wrapped around his body, and the other hand is the Shanghao tower. It can be said that it is at full firepower and quickly approaches the golden-eyed ancient monster, while Wu Yu's main body is instantly far away, so as to avoid the main body from falling into the control range of the golden-eyed ancient monster's illusion. His heaven-devouring body just defeated the golden dragon. Wu Yu is still very confident in the power of the heaven-devouring body. Especially the room for improvement of the heaven-devouring body is really too big. During this period of time, Wu Yu could feel the changes in the body of the heaven-devourer. As it continued to grow stronger, Wu Yu vaguely felt that there might be a qualitative change. The current body of the heaven-devourer always felt that it was still in its infancy, that is, the stage of an infant, which was equivalent to not being able to walk. Perhaps after a while, it would be a child who could walk. This was Wu Yu's premonition. The heaven-devourer demon ancestor, who had caused a storm and needed to be dealt with by heavenly soldiers and generals, would definitely not be so simple. When the heaven-devourer body confronted the golden-eyed ancient monster, Wu Yu wanted to continue looking at the rock. Just when he was relaxing, he never expected that there would be another murderous intent. However, this time it was not from the opposite side, but from behind. At this time, he looked back and found that a demon had followed him from behind at some point. This demon was a bit strange. In short, it looked like a tree made of flowing mercury. On its body, whether it was the roots, trunks, branches, or leaves, they were all made of liquid mercury, so they were always deforming, just maintaining the framework of the tree. The whole body was silver, except for the blood-red eyes on the tree trunk. There were 9 blood-red eyes in total, piled together in an irregular pattern. Some looked up, and some looked behind. Its vision should be in all directions, and it could see everywhere. What kind of demon was this? Was it a metal series or a plant series? Wu Yu couldn't figure it out. However, it was eyeing Wu Yu's body. This special demon dared to appear in such a place, so it must be of a very high level. It might be the 9th level of the Way of the Tao, or even the 10th level of the Way of the Tao, and it might become a demon god. Therefore, Wu Yu had no intention of looking down on the other party. On the other side, his heaven-devouring body was fighting with the golden-eyed ancient demon. The intuitive feeling was that the golden-eyed ancient demon was more difficult to deal with than the golden dragon, because his illusion was really all-pervasive. The existence of Wu Yu's body helped to keep the heaven-devouring body awake. At this time, the Mercury Tree Demon was stretching out its changing branches and leaves and killing Wu Yu. Today is the 10th. In a few days, there will be a surprise on the 15th. Please pay attention. Try hard. If you want to know the surprise quickly, add the Madman's WeChat ID, Fengqinjiang. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Feng Qing Yang. Chapter 1166. It's just the right time. I haven't tried the power of my bunch of heavenly spirit Taoist tools yet. Wu Yu didn't frown because the opponent was quite difficult to deal with. He was keen on fighting and had bellicose genes. Instead, he was extremely excited after having an opponent. To be honest, let alone the super top offensive and killing formations such as Yanfu Tianzu and Yanhuang Dragon Seal, I have never even used the attacking and killing formations of Xingyu Dragon Boots and Colorful Dragon Crown. As I write this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow dot. Of course, it was just that he had never used it on the enemy. When thinking about it, Wu Yu often came out of the Heart Temple and found a place to bombard it wildly, so he had felt its power. At this time, during the fierce battle between the sky-swallowing bodies, the Mercury tree was approaching Wu Yu during the change. It can be imagined that it is quite dangerous to let such a strange monster get close, so Wu Yu reacted immediately. His speed is quite fast. In the past, when he practiced martial arts, he had a strong foundation in weapons and boxing. Of course, martial arts experts are also better at using kicks, because kicks are more powerful. Xingyu Dragon Boots require certain leg skills. At this moment, Wu Yu suddenly jumped up on the ground and kicked his legs out in the air. On his feet, the pitch-black boots suddenly burst out with extremely powerful starlight, and the magic circle in it suddenly rotated, and Wu Yu, the power of his physical body and the energy of Zifu came together and merged perfectly, thus erupting with quite terrifying power. 3000 Galaxy Destruction Formation. After all, this is the heavenly spirit Taoist weapon of the 930,000 magic circle. While greatly increasing Wu Yu's speed, this attacking magic circle is also quite ferocious. As soon as these legs came out, for a moment, the entire battlefield seemed to be swept away. Wu Yu turned into a starry sky, and under the turbulent explosion of the magic circle, those 3000 galaxies and endless stars burst out from the weapon. They fell crazily in an instant and engulfed the Mercury tree. The power of countless stars bombarded it, just like that the giant galaxy beast passed through the body, and the power of this magic circle directly caused the Mercury tree to be knocked into the sky, and a very ear-piercing scream was heard. It's so powerful. Wu Yu was very excited about these heavenly spiritual weapons. He had not experienced any battle in the Fusion Tower for a year. After trying the strong attack of Xingyu Dragon Boots, he did not listen, but chased after him. The colorful dragon crown on his head was revealed at this time, and a terrifying emperor's aura filled the world between heaven and earth. As time passed by, Wu Yu became extremely majestic, and domineering. 5 Elements Earth Dragon Sky Blasting Formation. The colorful dragon crown is a little more powerful than the Xingyu Dragon Boots. When the 5 Elements Earth Dragon Booming Heaven array erupted, the Mercury tree had not yet been freed from Wu Yu's previous array, and immediately fell into what seemed to be 5 worlds. Surrounded by these 5 worlds, namely gold, wood, water, fire, and earth, a metal world, a forest world, an ocean world, a flame world, and a Lois world, they were squeezed in the center, and suddenly, the 5 worlds, the giant beast rushed out, the 5-headed earth dragon rushed out, entangling, biting, 5 powers, metal cutting, tearing, trees absorbing, swallowing, flood suppression, collision, flames burning, roasting, Lois swallowing, burying. In fact, these are not just physical attacks, but also spiritual attacks. Exorcism. After completing the magic circle, Wu Yu added another move to exorcise the gods. The Mercury tree was very powerful. It was still struggling between the 2 formations at this time. However, when Wu Yu's exorcism came and made a violent impact, the Mercury tree instantly entered a state of confusion. The 2 formations, stars, and the power of the 5 elements, this terrifying impact disintegrated the Mercury tree and directly damaged it severely. In the end, Wu Yu saw that he was disturbed by the killing period and was in a pitiful situation, so he did not take his life, but made him flee in panic. Although he was irrational during the killing period, he still escaped with a little bit of instinct to survive the disaster. He disappeared quickly, ran into the forest, and was gone. It's not enough. The Holy Dragon Golden Robe, Xuanhuan Dragon Seal and Jamfu Tian Pillar are all useless. Wu Yu smiled. On the other side, the sky-swallowing body did not allow the golden-eyed ancient demon to succeed. When the illusion had no effect, the golden-eyed ancient demon was not strong, and Wu Yu used the suppressive power of the Hao Tower and the Hao God Realm. It is quite powerful, and the magic circle of the Yanfu World Picture Scroll actually has the ability to resist illusions, so the body of swallowing the sky relies on the violent killing of the 9-star Long Yuan. Before it is finished, it almost kills the ancient demon with golden eyes. Execute, therefore, when Wu Yu relaxed a little, the golden-eyed ancient demon also escaped. In fact, saying it is quite easy eliminates the danger. It's not that the opponent is weak, but that the current Wu Yu, packaged by the ancient emperor, is too strong, especially his true body. Although Wu Yu took the Yanfu Tianzu himself, it was also the treasury of the Yanhuang ancient kingdom. Now, he is in the ancient demon world and is not affected by the Jambu world at all, so sometimes, he wonders if he has misunderstood the ancient emperor. After all, it was the first person who was afraid of him in the first place. At this time, the two top demons were severely injured and fled. Wu Yu was reunited and was about to continue to take a look at the condition of the rock. Unexpectedly, he found that the trapped demons around him not only did not calm down, but became even more manic, roaring in the direction of Wu Yu. Of course, some seemed to be very panicked and began to hide, letting out bursts of shrill wails. Clearly means fear. Why? Wu Yu had just asked such a question, but the next moment, he was also swept away by fear. There was a breath under his feet. It was really terrifying. Wu Yu could definitely say that the first moment he felt it, he knew, this is definitely not a breath that belongs to the mortal world. Only gods, demons, and ghosts can have such a breath. This is what he feels now. After feeling it, he has a fatal feeling. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. His first reaction was to run away. There is a demon god in the ancient demon world, so he can't do whatever he wants. At this moment, Wu Yu merged the somersault cloud into his body, used the second level, and jumped instantly. This time, Wu Yu's direction was high in the sky. He wanted to escape, but he also wanted to see what it was that made him like this. Fear. It must be the sound of fighting that awakens this being sleeping deep underground. He appeared above the sky in an instant, and the entire basin below was visible to his eyes at this time. The basin was like a tianka without water on the highest mountain, and the cages became extremely small. But at this time, Wu Yu clearly saw the ground of the entire basin was cracked, and then, it seemed that countless rattans came out of the ground, turning it into a world of dense rattans. On the ground, Wu Yu also saw two huge eyes, those two eyes, each hundreds of feet wide, and together they occupy a large area of the basin. One of the eyes is normal, and the other is blood red. What is this? Demon god, Wu Yu was shocked. He could feel that he was being stared at. The blood-red eyes of this giant thing hidden underground were very violent and were not locked on Wu Yu. The other eye was staring at Wu Yu, with very little white part of the eye. Very few, most of them have jet black pupils, making the eyes dark and agile. These two eyes were surrounded by countless vines. Those vines quickly penetrated the ground and were heading towards Wu Yu. Wu Yu had already seen the appearance of this giant beast. He didn't want to die in this ancient demon world, so he quickly used the somersault cloud continuously, jumped to an extremely far place, and left quickly. After about half a quarter of an hour, he found that the movement behind him had disappeared. His somersault cloud, even if the gods chase him, it is normal. Now the whole world has fallen into a state of calm. There was no need for him to leave. What was that just now? Wu Yu was still thinking. If nothing else, it should be the demon god, Ming Long said. The demon god, guarding that weird rock. Are the other demons his subordinates? No wonder there are so many tree demons. Therefore, it was this demon god who trapped his subordinates during the rest period. After the killing period, they would at least still be alive. There is life. That should be it. If that's a demon god, what is that rock? What does the picture inside mean? Wu Yu still remembered that there were humans and giant beasts with stars in their eyes. Then I don't know. I don't know everything. I know everything. Ming Long curled his lips. What are you going to do? As soon as she finished speaking, she found that Wu Yu was walking back. Wu Yu said, I was not careful just now. I accidentally exposed my traces and attracted two demons. The sound of the battle woke up the demon god. Seeing that one of the demon god's eyes is awake, I guess she can control herself a little, but she must let yourself be in a deep sleep state. If he falls asleep again now, I'll be careful. It's still possible to explore the secrets of the rock. If that doesn't work, just run away. This is his guess, and he is confident that it is not far from 10. Isn't this too risky? What if the other party falls silent now just to let you go over again? Ming Long asked. Wu Yu smiled and said, there's nothing you can do about it. It depends on your luck. Don't worry, I'll still observe whether it's really asleep. Okay, let's go. This world of ancient monsters is quite boring anyway. It's interesting to explore some secrets. It's interesting. Ming Long also watched the excitement and didn't take it too seriously. In the world of Jambudvipa, so many dangers have come, let alone here. This time he used the heaven and earth method to change his body to the minimum, and it was quite concealed. The holy dragon's golden robe also had a certain hidden energy effect. Wu Yu was hidden among the giant trees, as insignificant as an ant, and it was difficult to be discovered. He quietly approaching the place just now, when he arrived nearby and looked down from a high place, he found that the place just now had calmed down, the cracks on the ground seemed to have recovered, and the monsters were still shouting, but the place before the feeling of panic was gone. Does this mean that the demon god really continues to sleep? Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Feng Qing Yang. Chapter 1167. Although the demon god had been silent, Wu Yu still waited for half a day. To be on the safe side. After half a day, the place remained the same, so he began to move. After all, it was already late at night, and it was not easy for those demons to see him, so he was slightly hidden. With a very fast speed and a small body, he used the magic of walking and the star dragon boots to reach the rock in a flash. At night, the rock was like the stars in the sky, glowing with a light blue light, very delicate and beautiful, and the flashing pictures on it were brighter. Although the pictures changed very quickly, they were all visible. In this short period of time, Wu Yu saw the human race with stars in their eyes again, as well as many wild beasts. It was just like the blood-red eyes of the demons in the killing period in this ancient demon world. These pictures made Wu Yu couldn't help but get close to these rocks. At this moment, he was in front of the rock, and he couldn't help but stretch out his palm and touch the rock. At this moment, he was shocked. I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow. That feeling was as if being sucked into the rock. At that moment, a clearer picture appeared in front of Wu Yu's eyes, no longer flickering, but a clear presentation. At this moment, Wu Yu knew that his body had not moved, he was still in the same place, but he actually had a feeling of being trapped in a new world. He was like in an unknown world, and at this time his intuition told him that this new world might not be the ancient demon world. Of course, it was definitely not the world of Yamabu. He was like being in the sky of this world. This picture, This feeling reminded Wu Yu of the time when he touched the door of the ancient demon world and saw the ancient demon world. It was also because of this that he knew that the ancient demon world was a Tai Chi shape. Under his feet, there was a piece of land that was not big, probably only 5 times the size of Dongsheng Shenzhou, not as big as the Yanhuang ancient domain, and not as big as the land of the ancient demon world. The shape of this land is a bit like a gourd, thick at both ends and very thin in the middle, with one end about 1/3 larger than the other. The vast sea is all around, and the water of the sea is deep blue, just like the starry sky, as if countless stars and gems are buried under the sea, so the surrounding sea looks like an endless starry sky. However, it is not the sea that has changed, but the starry sky that has changed. Wu Yu looked up in astonishment, and then he saw something even more shocking, because this starry sky is so beautiful, the whole starry sky is clear and cloudless, and then, it is filled with countless bright stars, some are shining, some are dim, and there are even differences in color, some are shining with light green light, some are with pink light, and some are light yellow, just like inlaid with colored diamonds. In short, it is extremely beautiful. In addition to the starry sky, there is actually a moon in the night sky. The light of the moon does not cover the light of the stars, but achieves the effect of competing for brilliance. What really shocked Wu Yu was that there were 4 moons in the night sky. Some are big, some are small. The big ones are because they are close, and the small ones are because they are far away. The colors are different, with slight differences. Some are orange, some are light blue, and the largest one looks 3 feet in diameter, which is much larger than the moon in the world of Yama. Such a starry sky fully shows that this world is not the world of Yama, and it may not be the world of ancient monsters, but another world. Before he could react, the picture in front of him changed rapidly. He seemed to be dragged and smashed into the land below by a powerful existence. Mountains, rivers, and trees passed by quickly in front of him. Sure enough, the leaves of those trees were light blue, and there were even shining stars on them. Then, he saw a large number of cities, buildings, and sections. This is a world of similar scale to the world of Yama. Of course, Wu Yu also saw a large number of human races. Those human races, like what Wu Yu saw at the beginning, all had stars in their eyes. There are a lot of them. People seen in this world are basically of this kind. In addition to the human race, there are also some demons. The hair on those demons is shining, and many of them are surrounded by the light of stars. Because there are too many kinds of stars, the light of the demons is also different, but their eyes are also the same as those of the human race, with endless stars. Wu Yu then saw many pictures, and even heard them talking. Some pictures seemed to be practicing. Several people sat cross-legged on a very high body, with their 5 hearts facing the sky. It seemed that they were communicating with the stars in the sky. It can even be seen that the light of the stars fell and forged their bodies and strength. He has seen many pictures of cultivation, which seem to be related to the stars. Could it be that the people in this world have something to do with the stars when they practice? Wu Yu guessed. He even saw that those demons were absorbing starlight to practice, and saw those trees absorbing starlight and even becoming demons. In that world, the word aura cannot be heard, but the word star essence is often heard. Star world, star clan, star beast. In the scattered conversations, Wu Yu heard these important words, and the others were not very clear. But just these few words made Wu Yu completely sure that this was another world. Not the ancient demon world or the Yama world. Why, on this stone, there is a picture of this star world. He roughly flew across the world, and suddenly felt some tremors on his body, which brought him back to the ancient demon world in an instant. He was actually still standing where he was, but a wisp of his spirit was sucked out and flew past that world. What? He discovered that in the Sumuru bag, the door to the ancient demon world was trembling slightly, emitting a kind of light, like the light of a star. This made Wu Yu instantly realize that it was the ancient demon world. The gate of the world, has anything to do with this rock? Can even create other changes? He was very surprised. Suddenly, a ghostly, soft, sweet, and somewhat confused voice came to my ears, like the soft voice of a girl who had just woken up from sleep. She said, "Do you have the key to this world? Give it to me quickly." Wu Yu was so frightened that he quickly moved his hands away from the rock. When he turned around, he suddenly saw an extremely beautiful woman standing behind him. Her beauty was so thrilling that it made people's hearts beat rapidly. That end was like her long black hair like a waterfall, her eyes as black as ink, and her graceful and exquisite figure are all the best in the world. They are like the most beautiful creation. Her blank eyes make people feel pity even more. In fact, her lips leaning towards a dark red, but beautiful. The most important thing is, this woman was naked, and her milk-like skin and beauty were all clearly displayed. Wu Yu's heart almost jumped out of his chest when he first saw her. But his heart was only moved for a moment. Because the next moment he saw that the woman was not standing barefoot on the ground. Under her round thighs, some vines were wrapped around her calves. The position of the feet directly transformed into thorny vines, which penetrated deep into the ground. Heaven-swallowing record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1168. This woman surrounded by dark roses is so breathtakingly beautiful that it makes people feel strong inner stimulation all the time, especially the weak and pitiful feeling, which makes people want to care for her. Writing this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. However, when Wu Yu saw that her calves and the rattan were seamlessly connected, he knew that this woman was not actually the demon god itself, she was just a part of his body. Her real body was the huge and boundless body hidden on the ground. The rose tree is the countless vines and the huge eyes. This was the demon god, and the other demons had successfully come out of the prison at this time and were chasing Wu Yu. Wu Yu didn't dare to trust him. Although the woman in the rose was delicate and charming, the eyes of the demon god were sharp and cold-blooded. He continued to use that somersault cloud to escape again, appearing far away in the blink of an eye. From this position, you can no longer see the huge demon god when you look back, but you can see that the mountains on the horizon in the distance are constantly shaking, as if there are countless vines coming out of them. Just as he was about to continue leaving, the ground under his feet cracked again, and many vines extended out. Then dark red roses bloomed on it. When the flowers were fully opened, the beautiful woman appeared in it again. She was pitiful and he looked at Wu Yu blankly and said, "Can you please not leave? I won't hurt you. I want to use that key to go to other worlds. I don't want to stay in this world anymore." I didn't expect that his body would be so big. This place was already far away from just now. There was actually her rattan under the ground. However, this place should be some distance away from the main part of her body. Wu Yu was a little less anxious. He asked, "You mean, I have the key to reach the star world through that rock? Any time can we reach that starry world?" The woman nodded blankly. She was a little happy when she saw Wu Yu talking to her, and said, "Yes, brother, you have. I just felt it. You almost opened that door. That is the star world door, not a rock. The door to the starry world. Very shocking. In the world of Jambu, I got the door to the ancient demon world. When I came here, I didn't expect that this demon god actually had the door to the star world. Sure enough, there are other worlds, the star world, but I didn't expect that the human world is so big. Moreover, when this beautiful woman called her brother, the sound of her call made people's bones go numb. This reminded Wu Yu of the demon he had just embarked on the path of building a road. Her name is Nine Immortals. It's a demon fox. Sometimes she was smart and lively, sometimes sinister and cunning, sometimes sexy and seductive, sometimes youthful and cute. At that time, Wu Yu could be said to be completely under her control. He was so fascinated that he almost lost his life. To him at that time, monsters, especially fox monsters, had a weirdness and charm that made people obsessed with them just like folklore. And this woman has that charming but pitiable feeling, which is a psychological invasion in itself. Saying brother makes people feel distraught. Now that Wu Yu's spirit was strong enough, he knew that this was a terrifying thing, so he calmly asked, "Why don't you want to stay in this world and want to go to the star world? Isn't this world pretty good?" He wanted to know this. Here, there is a killing period here. Every killing period will bring heavy losses to me and us, and there will be many casualties. I have had enough. There is no room to go up here. I want to avoid the killing period. I want to go other worlds. She felt extremely wronged, and there were even tears in her eyes. Wu Yu understood, so that was it? However, he couldn't completely believe this demon god, because this was a demon god. She had an endless lifespan. She would never look as innocent as before. This may be her way of confusing Wu Yu. If Wu Yu used the golden apes the state appeared, maybe the rose was not a beauty at this time, but a female monkey. To put it bluntly, this was entirely to attract Wu Yu and arouse his sympathy. His eyes were firm and he said, "Demon god, you don't need to use this method to confuse me. Regarding the door to the star world, I didn't know it at first. I may have the key you mentioned, but I'm not familiar with you. Of course I don't have any hostility towards you. I don't think we should be too anxious. It seems that the rest period has just arrived. I will have a lot of time to get to know you. If there is a possibility of cooperation, I will come to see you." He said this very formally. However, the demon god was still confused and a little sad, and said, "Brother, I didn't confuse you. You misunderstood me. I won't hurt you." It seemed as if she really had such a personality, but Wu Yu had clearly seen before that the eyes growing on the rose vine were not so innocent, but rather cold-blooded. Wu Yu would rather believe that those are the eyes of his true form, and that the rose vine is his true form. Therefore, he was too lazy to care about anything. He knew too little now, and he would easily suffer losses. Moreover, he had no intention of going to that star world, so he used the somersault cloud again. This time, Wu Yu walked as far as he wanted to go. He returned to the direction of the Heart Temple and jumped many times in succession. Finally, when he stopped, he seemed to have gotten rid of the strange demon god. He breathed a sigh of relief. What kind of ghosts are they all? It's so weird, the look of the poor woman in my mind still couldn't be dissipated. Have you not done that kind of shameful thing for a long time? You get flustered when you see people without clothes, Ming Tong mocked. Don't talk nonsense, go to hell. This guy really didn't look like a girl at all, and he spoke so directly. Hurry up and practice cultivation with your little female dragon. Don't let others run away and you will be stupid, Ming Tong chuckled. Don't talk nonsense. The rest period seems to have suddenly arrived. I have to find some monsters and ask about the situation in this world. Wu Yu had no time to argue with her here. He continued to move forward and observe. It was not as he expected. The rest period has arrived. When the little demons who were on sentry duty saw the big demons, the blood in their eyes had faded, and they had all retreated. They were basically sure that the rest period had come, so it was time to run out of hiding. Finally, the wait was over. The days are, of course, carnivalesque. Therefore, along the road, you can see the little monsters acting wildly, reveling, crying, and even howling. Some relatives and friends can finally get together, hug each other, and cry, which even moved Ming Long. He said that they so pathetic. Wu Yu could really feel that the whole world was plunged into carnival joy because of the arrival of Sabbath. Unfortunately, many people were sad. After they came out, they found that many relatives and friends had passed away. During this killing period, It is estimated that at least 9/10 of the entire ancient demon world died. The entire world suffered a heavy blow, with corpses everywhere. Those who survived were the lucky ones who could see the demons. Most of them were it's joyful and sad at the same time, especially when many people who have reached the realm of the soul and are affected by the killing period really die a lot. They don't know how to protect themselves and go around killing. This world is like going through a tragic war, but now, the war is finally over. All the carnival actually hides deep sadness. You can probably feel it. How did the killing period come about? It feels like a curse on the entire world. You thought so? He was searching, and not long after, he found a demon in the first realm. This was a snow-white cicada with a body as gorgeous as crystal. He was lucky to have survived the killing period, but he was still scarred. The body holding technique, I haven't used this body holding technique for a long time, but it is still effective against monsters of the same realm. The cicada cannot move immediately. Then, you used the old Taoist technique, Tao heart soul capturing demonic technique, to directly control him when he was immobilized. You wanted to use this local monster to directly ask them about the world. The more powerful the monster, the more he knew. After taking control, you asked. The killing period is over and the resting period has come, right? Yes, it's a bit unexpected. It's a bit early. How does it feel? It's very painful. All the friends I knew are dead. No one is left. It was indeed a catastrophe. You got straight to the point and said, why is there a killing period? I don't know. It's been there since I was a child, and no one knows about it. Now in the ancient demon world, can I go to other worlds? What do you mean? I don't understand. Where are other worlds? He doesn't know about other worlds. Do you know the gate to the star world? He shook his head. There is a demon god. He has many vines and dark red roses. In which direction is he? Who is she? You asked. That's the Rose Demon Queen, one of the great demon gods. It's very powerful, very scary. It's a nightmare. There is a stone in her hand with a picture on it. Do you know what it is? Xiaolu replied, I know, it is the ancient demon stone. I don't know what effect it has, but every demon god seems to have one. Of course, I have heard about it, and I am not sure. It may not be there, or it may be something else. There are places too. Ancient demon stone? This statement is different from what the Rose Demon Queen said, but you can be sure that the gate to the star world that the Rose Demon Queen said is true. Could it be that every demon god has a door to the star world, but they don't have a key, so they can't leave here? You guessed. Xiaolu definitely didn't know this question, so you continued to ask, so who are these demon gods, and where are they probably located? Tell me slowly. You can go into more detail. Let's start with the Rose Demon Queen. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1169. Although Snow White Fawn's knowledge is limited, he can still provide some information that most demons know. For example, regarding this ancient demon world, the general situation of the demon god. The Rose Demon Queen is the leader of all tree tribes and has a long history. Her body has spread for thousands of miles underground. According to legend, there are parts of her body everywhere on the Moyun Mountains. The Rose Demon Queen she is very low-key, and all the tree demons in the world have defected to her. Among the demon gods, the Rose Demon Queen is not too strong, but is relatively weak. The area that you visited before had amazing aura, and it was the Moyun Mountains, which was very large. Under the guidance of you, Snow White Fawn continued, the number of demons in the sea area and the mainland is very balanced. Each has 4 demon gods, and they basically come from different camps. On the mainland, there are 4 demon gods, except in addition to the Rose Demon Queen who leads the Tree Tribe, there are 3 others who have absolute say among the demon groups such as animals, birds, and insects. The demon god who is supported by the beasts is not a beast, but it does not seem to be a bird or insect. His strength is quite terrifying and he has a huge say in the world. He is the 9-infant god, and his body is a bloodline called 9 infants, shaped like a dragon, thick in body, with steel-like wings, and more importantly, it has 9 heads and 9 dark attributes. In the world's largest beast realm, he is absolutely dominant, and in fact, he became the new master after defeating the original beast demon god. The former beast demon god seemed to be a Shen Kunwu beast. Juying? Shen Kunwu? It seems that there are similar top bloodlines in the ancient demon world. Especially the Juying, which was not found in the Yanhuang ancient territory. Only the Dongsheng divine continent had 2 ends. I didn't expect that the Juying, who had a pretty good bloodline at that time, could actually become a demon god in the ancient demon world. It seems that I have to go to Dongsheng Shenzhou Ci to bring Juying here and let him grow so that there is room. Then, Wu Yu looked at the snow-white deer and determined the direction of the 9-infant god. In fact, the snow-white fawn also belongs to the ranks of the 9-infant god's beasts. Then, he talked about the next demon god, and he said, the birds flying in the sky become demons, and they are also very powerful. They come and go without a trace, and they are huge in number. In the southeast, there is a sea of blood, and there is a head there. The blood sea rock demon is the existence of the demon god. It is a bloody rock bird that is rare to see in thousands of years. It has many magical powers. In fact, over the years, some potential birds have appeared, but they have been killed by it. You see, each race has only one demon god. This is not a coincidence, but they don't want other demon gods to appear and affect their status. No wonder it is such a coincidence that the tree tribe, animals, birds, and insects all have their own demon gods. The Rose Demon Queen, the Blood Sea Rock Demon, and the 9-infant god. The last clan is the demon god of the insect clan. His name is God Locust. His body is a terrifying locust. According to legend, there are endless clones. The insect clan is huge in number, covering the sky and the earth. There are people in the sky and the earth, so it is the most disturbing. Be afraid, the other 3 tribes of demons dare not step into the territory of the god Locust. Some of their demons are very small, even the size of a needle tip, and can enter flesh and blood. They are hard to guard against. If there is any news in the world, they will be able to quickly detect it. Find out through hiding. In Nanyan Demon Continent, Wu Yu met the Black Gold Ant Queen, who was indeed very powerful, and this god Locust had become a demon god, which was indeed even more awe-inspiring. None of these 4 demon gods seem to be easy to deal with, but they all possess the ancient demon stone that Wu Yu is curious about. There are also 4 demon gods in the sea. The snow-white deer continued to introduce. The sea area is also very huge, and there are countless demons. They often have fierce conflicts with demons from all over the world like us. Of course, they are also backed by 4 demon gods, the most famous of which is the fish demon god named Mosasaurus. I have never seen it. According to legend, it is a fish, a dragon, an immortal beast, an extremely huge beast, integrated with the sea, and it has existed for a long time, at least tens of thousands of years. Except for the Mosasaurus, which is the most famous and often appears, the other 3 seem to be more low-key and a little further away from the mainland. People even don't know their true identity. For example, there is a demon god named Xuanhuan. No one knows what its true form is. Those who have seen it only know that it is a pair of huge green eyes at the bottom of the sea. If it does not appear, the demons in a large area of the sea will fall into confusion. There is also the Red Devil who is as famous as the Xuanhuan. In fact, we don't know its true identity. But whenever you see thick, huge objects similar to blood vessels appearing on the bottom of the sea, that is the demon god Red Devil. The body part can be said to be extremely huge, a bit like the vines of the rose demon queen, and it is also quite terrifying. It is said that the Red Devil often devours other sea monsters. The last one is even more mysterious. It is said to be a tree on the bottom of the sea. Its body is the spirit realm demon tree. We call it the spirit realm demon god. It is a small sacred tree that shines on the bottom of the sea, but it basically does not appear, and he also walks alone and has no subordinates, but every time he appears, it seems to cause some strange states. For example, all the demons in the entire sea area seem to have lost their minds and are completely obsessed with it. That is the power of the spiritual realm demon god. It is this demon god. They all have ancient demon stones. This is a legend. I don't know whether it is true or not. At least I can be sure that the 9 infants god, the rose demon queen, the blood sea pen demon and the divine locust all have them, because they all think they are precious and no one is allowed to get close to them. This chapter is not finished yet. Please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content below. Wu Yu nodded. He probably knows something about this demon god. First, he doesn't know much about the sea area, and those demon gods are more mysterious, especially the Green Emperor, the Red Demon and the Spirit Realm Demon Tree. He doesn't know where they are at all, so he may not contact them for the time being. But on the mainland, he has actually contacted the Rose Demon Queen. From the Rose Demon Queen, it seems that the demon gods here don't have the terrifying feeling of the ancient emperor. Maybe the level of the ancient emperor is much higher than them. Wu Yu guessed. After all, he could still escape from the Rose Demon Queen, but he didn't have such confidence in front of the ancient emperor. Next, he used the Dao Heart Soul captivating demonic technique again to control other demons and tried to ask roughly the same questions. The answers he got were similar, and he had a better understanding of the details of each demon god. For example, the Rose Demon Queen, in the impression of many demons, was an erratic existence with a hot temper, completely different from the appearance of the woman in the rose. That was not its body, but a weapon she used to confuse people. For example, the 9 infants god lived on a mountain called Nine Sword Peak. With these more details, he did understand this ancient demon world better. He calmed down and first sent a communication talisman to tell Nanshan Wanjiao and the others that the rest period had arrived, so they didn't have to hide anymore. Of course, their attention was still on cultivation, and they also wanted to catch up with Wu Yu as soon as possible, so they continued to stay in the Heart Temple, while Wu Yu wanted to learn more about the ancient demon stone, which is the gate to the star world. The Rose Demon Queen had already annoyed him a little, so Wu Yu was not going to go. He selected the remaining ones. The divine locusts were estimated to have strong reconnaissance capabilities and were difficult opponents, so perhaps only the 9 infants and the blood sea pen demon could get close. Finally, Wu Yu chose the 9 infants. He was a little curious about what it would be like if a demon like the 9 infants cultivated to the level of a demon god. The ancient demon world was much safer now, but Wu Yu still couldn't let too many demons see him. After all, there were no humans here. He used the law of heaven and earth to change his body to the smallest, and then flew towards the direction of the 9 sword peak of the 9 infants. Driving the somersault cloud, he shuttled through the dense jungle. There were no cities in the ancient demon world, only deep mountains and forests, not many people, and demons everywhere, living the most primitive life, fighting, cultivating, and reproducing. The road was as fast as crossing several empires of cultivation in the ancient Yanhuang domain. The closer to the 9 sword peaks in the beast domain, the more beast-like monsters appeared along the road, and they were stronger overall. There were fewer flying birds, insects, and tree monsters, which was similar to the fact that there were the most tree monsters in the Namayun Mountains. Beast monsters were more common in mountains, jungles, and grasslands. The beast domain did not have two high peaks, but the spiritual energy was also quite rich, especially in the area near the nine sword peaks. Wu Yu had been able to see the nine sword peaks from a distance for 100 years, because this place was special enough. Nearby, there was a flat grassland that was endless, and the nine sword peaks were peaks that rose up on weekdays, so they were very conspicuous, and these 9 peaks were shaped like long swords, sharp and steep, like swords piercing out of the ground and piercing into the sky. It looked like 9 giant swords. That was the case, so there was no visual barrier here, and you could see clearly how many monsters there were. Fortunately, there are few magic arrays in the ancient demon world. If you were in the Yama world, in the capital of the gods, to break into this kind of mansion similar to the Wangxian Palace, you would have to break through countless magic arrays, which would have been earth-shaking. Looking around, there are a large number of demons in this endless plain, surrendering in front of the nine-sword peak, listening to the sound from the nine-sword peak. This seems to be their gathering after the killing period. Wu Yu's body changed to the smallest, and the grass around him was already a forest, just enough to block him. Wu Yu quickly approached the nine-sword peak. It is said that the ancient demon stone is on the top of the peak of the most central sword. Today is Friday, next week on the 15th, 10 chapters will be updated, 30,000 words. And there are a lot of direct mornings and noon, so remember to pay attention to it. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1170. Diamond Suit. On a green grassland, there are tens of thousands of top demons entrenched around. Most of them are beasts. There are all kinds of demons such as rats, cows, tigers, rabbits, sheep, monkeys, and many strange-looking ones with 3 heads and 6 arms. There are many more kinds than the demons in the world of Yama. In the ancient demon world, there are no beasts that have not opened their spiritual intelligence. The world is full of demons, and those that are just born are also demons. In this world, the demonic energy is soaring. Even if it is not the killing period, so many demons gather together, and there is a strong murderous aura, sweeping majestically. I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow. Those demons have their own magical powers, and they all survived the fierce killing. Although they have regained their sanity now, they are still in shock and habitually protect themselves. Wu Yu shuttled through various magical monsters, and now they listened to the voice above devoutly. The voice above was obviously from the 9 infants god on the 9 swords peak. Wu Yu had already felt the special feeling of the existence of the monster gods and immortals. It was equivalent to the feeling of the existence of a higher level of life. Invisibly, there was a very terrible pressure, suppressing the top of his head, even if the other party did not find him. He said, "No matter what, the killing period is over, and everyone has escaped death. Next, we can only rest and recuperate." Maybe it was because of the existence of the killing period. Even though it has passed now, Wu Yu found that the monsters in this ancient monster world still looked quite decadent, as if they could not see any dawn of the future. Even the strongest monsters seemed to be the same. No wonder the Rose Demon Queen was so excited when she knew that Wu Yu had the key to the Star World. She wanted to leave this nightmare world. The 9 peaks of Jijian Peak are arranged irregularly, but it is clear which peak is the most important. While the 9 infants god, who was nowhere to be found, was talking to his subordinates, Wu Yu found the central peak and went up all the way, hiding in the cracks of rocks and in the woods. He had a hunch that the ancient demon stone must be there. Jijian Peak is very high, and it took Wu Yu a long time to go up. Finally, he reached the very sharp peak. Looking down from this position, he could see all the demons around him. Because he was sneaking next to the demon god, Wu Yu did not dare to look too much. In fact, he locked the position of the 9 infants god at once. He was on the top of the next Jianfeng mountain. In terms of body, it is similar to Zhuiying and the others. It looks a little similar to the holy dragon in the holy dragon golden robe. It has a thick torso, a slender tail, covered with barbs and spikes, and is covered with thick black scales. It has a pair of huge flesh wings, which looks like a bat. Of course, the most iconic thing is the 9 heads in front of it, each with its own power. Although they look similar, the momentum is a world apart. Wu Yu is behind this demon god, and he is a little nervous to say it. After all, it is too close. He didn't dare to look at it anymore and turned back immediately. Sure enough, he saw that there was another ancient demon stone not far from him, and there were many pictures on it that were changing very quickly. Another gate to the star world. Wu Yu was shocked. But the next moment, he was stunned, because he clearly realized that the picture here might not be the star world, because there were no stars in the sky, no star tribe, and no star beasts in this picture. Instead, there were some other things. The picture changed very quickly. In an instant, Wu Yu seemed to see only a golden person and a silver person, like two steel giants fighting fiercely. The picture flashed and was not clear, but these pictures were dim or gray. It didn't look like a shining star world at all. And there were many details in the picture, which made Wu Yu confirm this. He just took a look, and suddenly, the originally bright sky suddenly became dark, and the whole world was dark, as if someone suddenly covered the surrounding area completely in a closed space, and for a while, he couldn't feel other places. In the whole world, only the ancient demon stone was still shining. He didn't need to look back, he knew that it was the 9 infants god who found him, and the 9 infants god was staring at him. Wu Yu didn't even have time to look back, and he was terrified at the moment. Fortunately, the 9 infants god didn't seem to attack him. Turn around, maybe the 9 infants god had trapped Wu Yu, so he was not in a hurry. This could be regarded as saving Wu Yu's life. Wu Yu turned around obediently, and sure enough, the whole world was dark, only the 9 infants god in front of him was still there. His 9 heads stared at Wu Yu's body very seriously, from top to bottom, and he could see it very clearly. At this moment, his eyes soon trembled, his voice was a little hoarse, obviously he was controlling his inner excitement, and the 9 heads spoke at the same time. He said, Are you from this Xuanhuan world, are you coming from Xuanhuan world? Wu Yu understood as soon as he heard it. Sure enough, it was not the gate to the star world, but the gate to the Xuanhuan world. This ancient demon stone was not the place leading to the star world, but another other world that Wu Yu did not expect at all. He really didn't expect that there were so many other worlds. He had just learned about the ancient demon world, and suddenly the star world appeared. He only knew a little about the star world, and then he came to the Xuanhuan world. It is estimated that the changes in the picture just now came from the Xuanhuan world. Wu Yu found that it seemed that the demon gods were obsessed with other worlds and wanted to leave the ancient demon world, so they regarded the ancient demon stone as a treasure, because it was possible to reach other worlds. This chapter is not over yet, please click the next page to continue reading. Moreover, Wu Yu suddenly appeared here. He was a human, and he must be similar to the human race in the Xuanhuan world, so Zhuiying directly regarded him as coming from the Xuanhuan world. Facing his problem, Wu Yu decided to play his tricks. To be honest, he was not very willing to go back to the Yama world. He had also seen the ancient demon world, which was not bad, but if there were other worlds, especially worlds with human beings, he would still be willing to go to other worlds. After all, it seemed that other worlds were farther away from the Yama world. It was more possible to get rid of the control of the ancient emperor. Curiosity, coupled with the heart of exploration, made him want to get a door to other worlds. It seems that the ancient demon stones of the 8 demon gods all lead to different worlds. If so, wouldn't there be 10 worlds? It shouldn't be so exaggerated. Maybe the others are also the Xuanhuan world or the star world. He calmed down a little and told Zhuiying God, yes, I came from the Xuanhuan world. He is not a demon. He can only be from other worlds to appear here. Sure enough, Zhuang God asked excitedly, how did you get here? Do you need a key? I want to go to the Xuanhuan world, take me there. He seemed a little overbearing when he said this. Wu Yu himself wanted to go to the Xuanhuan world to have a look, if he could come back, but he still had to think about taking him there. After all, these demon gods have great magical powers. Who knows if they will cause a devastating blow to other worlds when they go there, so Wu Yu thinks that it is best to snatch an ancient demon stone by himself. Obviously, Zhuang God is very overbearing. He first blocked Wu Yu's way out, and now he wants Wu Yu to take him directly to the Xuanhuan world. That won't work. How do I know if you will cause damage to the Xuanhuan world? You have to promise me that you won't attack recklessly. Besides, you have to stay away from me now so that I can open this door. Wu Yu waited for him to walk away and tried to take the ancient demon stone away. However, the nine infants god didn't buy it. He seemed to be angry instantly, and sneered, saying, you are under my control, and you dare to speak wildly to me. I will kill you and take the key myself. It's really cruel. He killed as soon as he came. It seems that it is quite difficult to deceive this guy. Now that he has been discovered, Wu Yu evaluated that it is basically impossible to take the ancient demon stone under his murderous intention, so he was very straightforward. When the nine infants god thought he couldn't escape at all, he turned over. The second level of the somersault cloud did leave the space. Even if the nine infants god was closed, Wu Yu rushed out directly and appeared in the shining world outside. The other party didn't expect Wu Yu to escape his control at all, and was stunned for a moment. As a result, Wu Yu jumped several times in a row and completely left that range. When he was far away, he really heard the terrifying roar of the nine infants god. Catch him for me. Everyone, go out, and reward those who can catch him. Everyone get out. For a while, the entire beast domain was galloping, and it was more chaotic than the Rose Demon Queen's side. It is estimated that the Rose Demon Queen is now looking for herself all over the world. Now with the nine infants god, it seems that this ancient demon world will soon be quite chaotic for herself. The demon god is indeed not as scary as the ancient emperor. Wu Yu was not sure about escaping like this in front of the ancient emperor. Of course, the ancient emperor was familiar with the somersault cloud, but the nine infants god did not know it, so Wu Yu escaped smoothly, but it might not be the case next time. However, it seems that no matter whether it is the Rose Demon Queen or the nine infants god, they will definitely hide the ancient demon stone, and it will be difficult to get it. Fortunately, there are still 6 ancient demon stones. After leaving the nine infants god, Wu Yu calmed down. He was thinking whether he needed to seize an ancient demon stone. Perhaps, the ancient demon world is too close to the world of Yama. If there are other worlds to choose from, I can indeed practice. After all, I still have a long way to go before I can become an immortal. Although I haven't become an immortal yet, if I cross a few more levels, I might be able to challenge the demon god. If there are no opponents in the mortal world, it will be difficult to become an immortal. This is also a big problem Wu Yu faces. If he reaches the 9th and 10th levels of the Way, will there be no opponents in the mortal world at that time? If so, it may be difficult for him to make progress, because fighting is a big part of his practice. So, he thought, if he could venture into these several worlds, it would be better for him.